The crossroads of the world in the heart of Times Square. Welcome to Agent Brew, a podcast that percolates real estate insights. I'm your host, Eric Zeilinger of Realty Co. Welcome to our viewers and listeners for yet another episode of Agent Brew, a casual conversation with an industry leader that has walked the path before you. I am honored to have today's guest, a longtime friend and I guess colleague as well, Steven Cohen, the head of the Steven Cohen Team at the Corcoran Group. Welcome, Steven.
Thank you. Good to be here.
At 660 Madison
Yeah,
is where we first met. And that was like, what, the year 2000, 2001?
it was the year 2000. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
So welcome to
you were
Agent
with
Brew.
Emily.
Time flies, right? Uh, I'm glad to see that we never age.
We both had a lot more hair back then. That's what I'll
Yes,
say.
yes, we did. Can you start with your elevator pitch? Who are you? What's your business? And then we'll go back to your origin story.
Sure. So I'm Steve Cohen, and I run a team here at Corcoran. I've been in the business for 26 years. Um, I, um, I've watched my business grow. We do Manhattan, and now have clients all over. So we tend to do some deals in the Hamptons and in Florida and other places as well. But our core base is New York City, and that's the situation.
You know, I love to see you do different things over the years. I'm just impressed how you continue to crush it, and I love all of your Instagram content and LinkedIn. I mean, it's really great. So well done, first and foremost.
Thank you.
Uh,
I have a very good team. So
well, how big is your
you're only
team?
as good as your report. There are 8 of us.
Oh my
So
gosh!
there's well 9 including me. There's the myself and then 4 other brokers and then 4 in staff, and we have quite a large marketing team, which I think and I know is unique. We do put out a lot of marketing and social media and content
Relevant
and
content.
relevant. Yeah, people. I'm always amazed at who's following me, who comments on things. When I go to a dinner party and someone says, like, is so aware of what I've been doing. And frankly, it works. I've done it for 2 reasons. A, it keeps me in front of everyone, all my clients, past clients, friends. So it's a constant reminder. Um, and as well as obviously personally keeping in touch. And then the other piece is we've literally sold properties because people have seen things on Instagram. It's incredible. If you would have told me that 10 years ago, I would have said no way. So
I mean, we both started at a time, one, before there were teams that ever even existed.
that's
And
right.
I always like to use the analogy that, back in my day, the only marketing was Barbara on top of a taxi cab talking about this new thing called www.corcoran.com and,
That's
and the
right. Yep.
Corcoran report. I mean, there were no, it wasn't social media. You didn't have to have this whole other line in your personal budget of marketing, you know?
That's right.
So as a challenge to run a team and such a large team, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing you today?
I'd say right now, what we're focused on is growth. And I mean, everyone could say, oh, we're all looking to grow. We're very focused. We track and measure everything. They say what you
Okay.
track and measure grows. And, I'm just going to go back. I used to say, oh, I'm not really a numbers person. I have come to love numbers and tracking everything and knowing it down to the penny, what we're spending, what goes out, what's successful, what we need to spend. So I would say growth. And thank God we've been very successful. And, every year we get better and better and do more business.
Well, you
But then
recently
it's
had a
taking,
change, right? You recently moved from Douglas Elliman back to Corcoran. So
correct.
have you seen, because a lot of times people experience a diminishment their first year when after they move, but I guess because this was already an area that or a company you've worked for before, did you see any bit of a slowdown, or is it just you're a well-oiled machine and you just keep going?
That's a great question. So I was at Corcoran for 20 years. and then left, and I was at Elliman for 5 years and then came back here. It's only been 4 months. So the past 4 months have been very strong. I hope it continues. So I can say it hasn't been a year. I think at this point, our team is so tight. We do so much on our own. Now with Corcoran support, we can do even that much more. And I would say we're not seeing any slowdown.
Well, I mean, the
The
market kind of helps
industry's
that
changed.
the market is on an upward swing, right? Like,
That is
uh,
true.
it's
That is
hard
true.
not to beat what the last 5 years or 4 years have been.
Yeah, that is true. And listen, my time at Elliman was amazing. I saw tremendous growth and accomplished what I wanted to and what I had planned going over to Elliman. And then just timing, and it's just Corcoran feels like the right place to be right now for me in order to continue to grow my business and get to where, hit my goals and reach my vision.
Great. So let's go back to the beginning. Where are you from? And did you have a career prior to real estate?
Okay. So I am from outside of Philadelphia, the suburbs of Philadelphia, which have some of the most beautiful. I've lived all over the world, and I can tell you, I think Philadelphia has some of the most beautiful suburbs in the world. You have to remember, Philadelphia is one of the oldest cities. It's where a lot
Hmm.
of the robber barons were. WASP Society was started there. So many of those beautiful old stately homes are still there. And I would say that actually got me into real estate. I'll just go for a moment. My father had a passion for homes, and he would
Okay.
drive us around, and we'd always look at homes. And he had one particular friend that lived in this magnificent home, and we'd go visit. And that got me into my passion and love of homes. And then it just felt natural that real estate would be a career. But going back, did I have careers before or jobs before? Yes, of course. They always had some semblance of sales and working with people and relationships. However, I always wanted to go into architecture. I said I loved homes and the history of homes, but I'm probably the only 16-year-old of our generation.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I get calls from college kids saying, "Can I meet with you? This is what I want to do."
Wow.
So But when we were coming up, uh, it was, it was more a second or third career.
The
So
ladies
yes,
who
I did.
lunch from our office.
Yes, yes,
And I've
yes,
worked with two
yes.
of them, right? So,
Certainly did, and two really good women.
yeah.
So so I'm unusual because I remember I lived overseas, South Africa, Australia, Israel.
Oh, I didn't
I
know that.
remember, yeah, going for a run in Sydney once and just thinking about what do I want to do with my life. And I was working for a nonprofit then doing development fundraising, which is also sales. And
I mean, talk about getting you in front of the right people
yeah,
for as a preparation.
100%. Yeah, yeah, that is very true. So I remember going for a run and thinking, well, if I can't figure it out, I love homes. I'll just sell expensive real estate. But I thought it would be in Bel Air, California, but I ended up in New York. So there you go.
Well, glad you ended up here. And
You too.
so, any mentors that you'd like to speak about?
Um, that's a good question. That's interesting. I definitely have mentors outside of the industry.
Okay.
I definitely have people in my life who have influenced me in the way I think about life, how I tackle life. A woman named Robin Lynn who really taught me how to look at life from a positive perspective and how to take life and create what you want to create.
It's all about
Um,
mindset, right?
Mindset, 100%. And then I'll go back to when I was in high school. I definitely had, I had my dad passed, but my mother's still alive. I have amazing, loving parents. However, there were definitely parents. I had a lot of surrogate parents,
Uh huh.
friends of my parents, who really showed me the life that I wanted to emulate or what it looked like. So I was taken in by a lot of people.
Well, it takes a
So
village,
yeah,
right? Like
it
it's.
takes a village, and thank God I had some really good people in my life. And then, in this industry, Pam Liebman, Howard Lorber definitely have been people that have influenced me and helped me along my way. And then just colleagues who I work with every day who
Yeah.
always want me to, up my game and be the best I can be, Noble Black, Deb Kern, different people. Yeah.
If I take one of my favorite memories of back in the day, those early years at 660 Madison, it's the way that Barbara had it laid out and just where you could just, the energy of the office and people back then showed up to the office.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yes.
and just the collaboration or hearing people talk or, just walking over and talking to Julia Menical and,
Right.
just that energy and synergy.
It's funny. I don't hear it as much anymore, but they used to say, oh, isn't that such a competitive business? And it is, obviously, it's a business, it's competitive. But I find, for the most part, the top agents really help out each other. The top brokers, we all collaborate, we help each other. Um, and I will say about being in the office, I just 2 weeks ago said to my team, we need to come in more. I want being out of the office more the exception than the rule. Of course,
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
your agents out all the time because that means they're working, but
Right.
certainly my staff. And when you're not out showing or with a buyer or, out meeting up with people, be in the office because we work better, we learn. There is something about the team energy, and it's so true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And, you bring something up. I actually love agents so much, right? Like, yes, it's competitive, but I find real estate agents across the country are a very special breed because they're always the first in the know. They're always, well, they're the last to adopt new technology usually, but they're the first one to know everything that's going on in the neighborhood, building this, that, and
Yeah.
there's just something special about the New York real estate agent. I have never met a more loving, yes, it's competitive, but as you say, as you get in the upper ranks, which I was blessed from day one to always be a part of that with Emily and Kathy, and just people willing to help you,
Hmm.
like Pat Palermo and just all these other people that I would do mailings for, willing to share their expertise or welcome you in and just help you out. Um, it's really special. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's true. Yeah. I believe it.
So in your career, life or real estate, what are two wins that have mattered most to you and why?
Um, Two wins. Okay, so life, I would say it's where I am now, the family I created, the life I've created. Um, I tell my team all the time, whatever I have in my life, it's because I could visualize it.
Hmm.
And
Do you do vision boards?
I do sometimes. We do it as a family.
That's great.
Um, yeah, usually in December, the whole family does it. And I actually have two here. One year, my youngest daughter did ice cream as her vision. So there you go. I think it was on mine too. But anyway, so I do a lot of writing. I've kept a journal since I've been 16.
Wow.
Um, Ironically, an English teacher no one could stand. Oh, he was can I say, such an ass? He was such a tough guy. And I didn't particularly care for him, but look, he taught me something that I've taken through my whole life. I should
Wow.
actually find him and reach out and tell him that.
I'm sure you would
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah, yeah. So I do. I tend to have big picture of what can happen, and I have a strong intuition, and I've had experiences where I've thought things or written things and then they actually happen. So I truly believe in that. It's not all magical, but I
No,
think that
no,
a
but
lot of
it's,
mindset and
yeah.
what you put in your subconscious, if you're then working towards it, it can happen.
Luck is
Um,
just the silent preparation.
yeah, that's right. That's right. So I'd say that's one. That's life, and then a something that I'm proud of that I achieved business wise. I did a deal. One, it was the biggest deal probably the biggest deal I did, and I got deal of the year for it. It was something I'm very proud of, and it's what I worked. One of the hardest deals I did, which was I had sold a townhouse, a single family townhouse, which at the time set a record. It was 27.5 million.
Okay.
And they bought this house, and it was an ambassador. And then the His Royal Highness came, and when he would come in for a few weeks a year, they would move out and he'd move into the townhouse. And he came and he loved it, but I got a call and they said he loves it, but it's not big enough. So I said, okay, you
Music
want to
to
go
every
find
agent's ears.
yeah, yeah. And so I said, you want to go find something bigger? And they said, no, we
No.
can't do that. So I went to the guy next door, the townhouse next door, and he had no interest in selling. I went to the people behind us because the yards connected directly
Yeah.
behind, and it was a beautiful townhouse, and they were not interested. And I thought of every possibility. Next, on the other side of it, to the west of the house, was a 9-unit co-op in an original townhouse. So it was all,
Yeah.
butchered up
Yeah.
and redeveloped. So I negotiated with 9 individuals, actually 8 individuals, because someone owned 2, all independently, bought out each person, negotiated all independently, had a closing with each of them on one day. We sat in the attorney's office all day, closed it out, collapsed the co-op. Then they combined it, and you've got this 38-foot wide townhouse, 2 townhouses because of the facades are
38
different.
feet, though. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
and then in between, inside, the interiors are obviously flow and are beautiful. And so I'd say that's the deal I'm most proud of.
That's
We've had
amazing.
some other really
Congratulations.
good ones. Yeah, thanks.
Wow.
It was
Well
a while
done.
ago. I'd like
So,
another one of those.
so on the flip side, any transformational losses?
Transformational losses.
So something that really, was a fail, but then you turned it into a positive because it made you pivot or change course.
You're talking life or business or both?
Either, it doesn't matter.
I would say, I don't know if there's one, but learning from experience.
Yeah.
So there was this is years ago. I was working with a big hedge fund guy, and he was looking for a townhouse. They were in a Fifth Avenue apartment, but they wanted a townhouse, and they needed a wide townhouse because they had 4 kids, and they called it family values. They wanted all the kids, 4 bedrooms on one floor, so it had to be a certain width in order to accomplish
Right.
that. And I love that, family values, and they were really lovely family. Really obviously very successful guy. And he was, I mean, anyone in New York knew his name, and you'd know who in that business, you'd know who he was. But he was always trying to stay under the radar. And therefore, he wanted off market because he didn't want to trigger in the news that, buying
Yeah.
these trophy properties. At one point, I remember his wife saying to him, yeah, and they both grew up, I'd say middle class, upper middle class. And I remember once she said to him, will you just face it? We're rich. like just get over it. I want to buy this house. Anyway, what happened was there was a house, a beautiful home on the Upper East Side between 5th and Madison. And I wanted to go approach the owners. It was not on the market. And I took too much time waiting for
Okay.
and I had a picture on my bulletin board, like right above my computer. I had a picture of the home that I went and just snapped. So like as incentive, and this is the house they're going to buy. And I waited too long, and it turned out they had already seen it. So someone else got in. And I remember I was on the phone, and I was bitching and moaning and venting to my coach at the time. And she said something so smart to me. She said, are you done? After I went on. And I, in a nice way, like she let me get it all out. And I said, sure. And I'm done. And she said, you're asking the wrong question, because I was saying, why is this happening to me? Why aren't I at a different level? I want to be at this level, at this level. And, even at the time I was successful, but it's always about growth. And she said, you're asking the wrong question. And I said, what do you mean? She said, you're asking why. Don't ask why, ask how. Meaning, how can I get to this next level? Not why am I at this level or why aren't I at this level? And it changed a whole set of thinking for me.
Right,
Ask
because
the
it's an
question,
action
how?
word, right? Like it's intrigue, curiosity,
Right.
and putting you on the steps to make it happen.
It's taking ownership.
Yeah.
How am I going to achieve this rather than why is this
Yeah.
or is not happening to me? So, I'd say that was something strong that came from failure or,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love
uh,
that.
yeah,
So
that
what
was
does
a good one.
define success to you?
That's a great question. Success, I would, for me, is success in different areas of my life. So it will be my relationship with my children, with my husband, with my friends, with my community.
Hmm.
It's being able to give a lot of charity, being involved in community and giving back. Um, and then financial security, stability,
Yeah.
being able to do what I want. Um, and so I'd say it covers everything. And then health and well-being,
Yeah.
success, staying healthy and happy and mentally well. Um,
Well, it
so
certainly
I would
appears
say
that
it's all those areas.
you're well on your way to achieving success.
You know, I'm better at times with different things, but I try, and trying to keep that even.
Well, it's not really even, right? Tony Robbins talks about, it's like a teeter totter. And if it's
Yeah.
even, nobody's
Then
having
yeah,
fun.
you're
It's
not gonna.
stagnant,
That's
right? Like
right. Yeah.
there's
Right.
a give
Yeah.
and take, and it has to be that way. Otherwise, you're
One
just
hundred
always,
percent.
yeah. So
Yeah.
let's play the gratitude game. The gratitude game is rose, rose, thorn, bud. But because it is the Agent Brew, shameless plug,
Hmm.
it's coffee. So, um, do you drink coffee, Steven?
I do.
Yeah, I love it. And so, although I've started to do Rise, the mushroom coffee, and it's
Hmm.
really changed my 2026. But
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna look
so
into that.
um, the first is the aroma. So I love to grind my own beans. So it's that aroma that wakes you up. What wakes you up? What motivates you and gets you out of bed in the morning?
um, my alarm. Although I'm pretty good, I'm an early riser, and my body's pretty set. What gets me up in the morning? My reason for getting up? Is that what you're asking?
Well, so the next is the actual the brew, that first cup that sustains you. So that's what is your why. But
Okay. So I'll
so
go back to what gets me up.
yeah.
Um, I get up because I think that I like to wake up early. I like to be prepared for my day.
Uh-huh.
Um, my, I work out very early in the morning with a trainer 3 days a week. So usually if it's that, if I'm meeting my trainer at 5:45, then it's getting up, getting ready for my day, doing a few things, and then getting to the gym. But on days when it's not, I love quietness. I have two
Yeah.
kids. And so,
You probably only achieve that early in the morning.
yeah, I love that, or I stay up too late because I just like the stillness and quietness and being alone. So it's either doing that and writing in my journal, and sometimes I have really good morning routines that I'm into with, meditating or reading or listening to something, and then writing. I've taken on different skills and different things that I've done for a period of time that just worked really well. There's a book years ago I read called The Artist's Way, and there's an idea of just writing free stream of consciousness for 3 pages. And it's just to get it out. Half the time I can't
Yeah.
even read it after because I'm moving like,
Right.
it's not legible, illegible. And so I do that. Or if Kirk, my husband's up, I like because we have quiet time and we can just talk.
Ah.
Um, yeah, so that's nice because we're
So then what is
running.
your
We
why?
have busy lives. My why is to be my greatest God given. It's to achieve my greatest God given potential. So that means being like really truly the best I can be, and that just doesn't mean success or what it looks like on the outside. It's feeling good about I'm doing the right things because throughout our day, we have choices. And I don't mean
Right.
cheating or something like that, but something as small as, seeing someone. I was coming home from the gym, at 6 o'clock, not six, at, 7 o'clock the other day. And this woman was really struggling because of the snow. And she was carrying stuff and she was in a wheelchair. And I said, "Do you want help?" I kept asking, and she said, "No, I'm okay. I'm okay." And then she said, "Yes." And all I did was push her half a block to her doorman. So,
Yeah.
but it was like,
Being
you know,
kind.
being kind is certainly, that goes a lot further for people. Um, I think being attuned to people and what they're going through and being with them in that moment, I think that goes, I know it goes a very
Yeah.
long way. And that's a lot of what life's about. I mean, that's giving into the world, I
I mean,
believe.
your answer is so beautiful, and I've done what, like 50 episodes of this now, and this is the first time somebody has articulated it and framed it in that way, and it's certainly just it's really profound. So we're gonna do the flip side. What is causing you frustration right now?
This morning, my daughters caused me frustration. They wouldn't get out of the house, but we'll let that go. That's just a
Yeah.
boring parent answer. Right now, I'm looking at the business we did last year,
Hmm.
how we're going to achieve our goal for this year, and what that means, and what are we going to do differently. So I'm looking at it, analyzing it, and putting that into play. And part of that is everyone's got to be in. Like,
Yeah.
I want to find every area to take us, to feed us, and give us, again, the greatest chance of hitting this goal. So I'd say I'm looking at it. It's not just looking at it, it's implementing it, because sometimes, for the most part, we always know inside what we have to
Yeah.
do. It's harder to just do it. So
Yeah.
I'm dealing with that a little bit.
So what are you most looking forward to? The fresh
Um,
beans. So is there a new exclusive that you're about to launch or
we have a few listings coming on that I'm excited about. Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's one in particular that I'm very excited about. Um, I was I love traveling and I like looking forward to trips and traveling. I was meant to be in Israel this week, and unfortunately, my trip got canceled. So I'm looking forward to that being rescheduled.
great? Well, we've come to
Yeah,
my favorite part of the show, and that is everybody gets the exact same question. If you
okay.
could give your young agent self, the young Steven Cohen, a piece of advice after the year 2000, what would it be?
Do not shrink back. Totally own it. Go for it, and don't be afraid to ask or ask for the business. My friend John Simon taught me this many, many years ago. John's a developer, and I represented him on his personal real estate. And he's a smart, successful, really good guy. And I picked up, we were on the phone, and then I called him one morning, or I set up a call, and I called him and I said, you have these new developments. Why don't you talk to Corcoran Sunshine? Let me bring you into Corcoran Sunshine. And at the time, he was working very committed and working with this one agency, which I don't think did much for him, but whatever. We're going way
Yeah.
back. Um, and he said to me, he paused and he said, "I totally get this call, and I love that you called me to ask for the business." And he kind of like called me on. I don't think he said it for that reason, but it was what my fear was. I had such fear of calling him to ask him that, because that's next level. It's one thing to sell
Yeah.
him a beautiful apartment on Park
Yeah.
Avenue. It's another thing to, ask the man for, and
You
at the
don't get
time I
what you don't
wasn't
ask for.
involved. You don't get what you don't. I tell my kids that all the time. So that was a great lesson for me. And listen, even at my level, there are times I shy
Yeah.
away, and I have to remind myself to step into who I am, step in,
Yeah.
own who I am. Sometimes we all shrink back.
Yeah.
So
Amazing advice. Amazing episode. So any favorite positive quotes?
yeah, I like, and I think I read this freshman year. I read this in a book. Good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment.
I love that. Do you know who said it?
Apparently, I didn't realize this. Mark Twain. For
Oh,
years, I was
okay.
quoting. For years, I was quoting the person that wrote the book, but Walter Anderson. But I
Yeah.
think I read it in Walter Anderson's book, but I think that it's Mark Twain.
Great. Well, I always like to quote from my hero, Zig Ziglar, who I grew up
Okay.
with. My
Yeah.
father uh, taught me all about Zig and the PMA, positive mental attitude. So you can make a positive impact in someone's life without ever knowing it.
Mm.
So I just think that all of the things that we talked about today, that just kind of goes into your mantra, and you've been such a great role model all these years, and it's just really been fantastic to see you succeed, to see you grow, and hopefully you'll be able to come back on future seasons.
I'd love that. This was fun. And I have to say, we talked a lot about mindset and positive mindset and
Uh-huh.
Zeke Ziegler. You you have always, whether you know it or not, had that. You were always smiling. You were always upbeat. I remember the first time I met you at 660 on the 11th floor, and where you sat in the back there.
Yep,
um,
yep.
um, you've always had that. So I guess is that from your dad, or that's
You know
amazing?
what? It's always been for 20 years. I sent a daily motivator that is Ralph Marston, but I literally just had a memory of you that I totally forgot this. The day I was let go from Corcoran Sunshine, or from Sunshine,
Mhm.
because it wasn't, it was just as Corcoran Sunshine
Right.
was
Yeah.
molding, and I was on this horrible project. I was the fourth set of agents that we only sold one. My friend Debbie Henderson and I, and it turned out to be a Brazilian madam. That was the only apartment we sold, and she later was,
Uh,
yeah. But I ended up going to the MoMA the day that it
mhm.
happened, and instead of going home and sulking, I went there and I ended up seeing the Highline model. And it was that at the MoMA, I learned all about it. The next week, when I started interviewing, lo and behold, I happened to be at Related, and they were telling me about this new project called the Caledonia being
I
built
remember.
on the High Line. And and
Yeah.
and you had called me and said, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on my way." Even though I was just let let go off this project, I'm going to the MoMA. And you're like, "Wow, that's like way to just not sulk, way to keep the momentum going." So thank you for that. I totally forgot about that.
I kind of remember that. And the Caledonia, my God, I remember you
It was the
showing me a
pinnacle of,
property there,
yeah.
and you owned a property there, didn't you?
I drank my
Um,
own Kool-Aid, and it really,
right,
really set me up. And that's why I started my own company. And so,
right.
you never know what's going to happen. You just have to, again, luck is that silent preparation.
I love that. I love that.
Well,
The
Stephen, thank you.
Caledonia started it all down there. It really
Yeah,
did.
yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being a great friend and colleague. Um, Wish you and your entire team great success back at Corcoran.
Thank you.
Thank you to our viewers and listeners for attending another episode of Agent Brew. Please tune in every Tuesday as we release a new episode. I'm the host, Eric Zeilinger of Realty Co., reminding you it's a great day for real estate.